Everyone wanted to date her in the 70s. This is her today, the 1970s, feathered hair, that poster in every college dorm room. These women weren't just famous, they owned the decade. Some are still here, still gorgeous, still working. Others are gone. Here's what happened to the women who made the 70s unforgettable. Raquel Welch, the original bombshell. We have to start with the woman who practically invented the concept of the movie sex symbol. When Raquel Welch appeared in that fur bikini in 1 million years BC in 1966, she didn't just become famous, she became a cultural phenomenon that carried straight into the 70s. That poster of her in the deerskin bikini? Best-selling poster of all time. 2 million copies. But Raquel wasn't just a pretty face. She fought MGM in court in 1974 and won a $20 million lawsuit when they tried to fire her. She stayed active in Hollywood until her 70s, wrote her autobiography in 2010 called Raquel Beyond the Cleavage, and died in February 2023 at age 82. Farrah Fawcett, the hair that changed everything. Speaking of cultural phenomena, let's talk about Farrah Fawcett. When Charlie's Angels premiered in 1976, it wasn't just a hit TV show. It was a cultural earthquake. And at the center of it all was Farrah, with that golden feathered hair that became so iconic, salons across America couldn't keep up with demand for the Farrah. But here's what's fascinating about Farrah's story. She only stayed on Charlie's Angels for one season. After becoming the breakout star, she left to pursue movies, causing a massive legal battle with producer Aaron Spelling. The network actually sued her for $7 million. The move was risky, but Farrah was determined to be taken seriously as an actress. She starred in films like The Cannonball Run, and later proved her dramatic chops in TV movies like The Burning Bed, which earned her an Emmy nomination and dealt with the serious subject of domestic violence. In the 1980s and 90s, Farrah continued working steadily, but it was her personal life that often made headlines, particularly her long relationship with Ryan O'Neal. The couple had an on-again, off-again romance that lasted decades. Farrah's final years were marked by a very public battle with cancer. She documented her struggle in the Emmy-nominated documentary Farrah's Story, showing incredible courage and vulnerability. She passed away in June 2009 at age 62, but not before changing how we think about both beauty and bravery. Olivia Newton-John, Sandy's Eternal Youth. From Rydell High to international superstar, Olivia Newton-John captured hearts worldwide in the 1970s. While Grease in 1978 made her a household name, Olivia was already a successful recording artist with hits like I Honestly Love You and Have You Never Been Mellow. What made Olivia special wasn't just her sweet voice or girl-next-door beauty, it was her authenticity. In an era of manufactured pop stars, she felt genuine. Born in England but raised in Australia, she brought a fresh international perspective to American entertainment. The success of Grease was staggering. The soundtrack became one of the best-selling soundtracks of all time, and suddenly everyone wanted to know more about the woman who made Sandy Olsen so lovable. But Olivia was smart about her career moves. She followed up with Xanadu in 1980, and while the movie was critically panned, the soundtrack produced several hit singles. Throughout the 1980s, Olivia reinvented herself with a more assertive image, scoring hits like Physical, which spent 10 weeks at number 1. But perhaps her most important role came when she became an advocate for cancer research after her own breast cancer diagnosis in 1992. Olivia faced cancer 3 times with remarkable grace, using her platform to raise awareness and funds for research. She opened the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Center in Australia and continued performing well into her 70s. When she passed away in August 2022 at age 73, the world didn't just lose an entertainer. We lost someone who showed us how to face life's biggest challenges with dignity and hope. Cher, the goddess who never ages. If there's one person who embodies the phrase ageless beauty, it's Cher. In the 1970s, she was transitioning from her folk rock days with Sonny Bono to becoming a solo superstar and variety show queen. The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour made her a television icon, watched by 30 million viewers every week. But what's remarkable about Cher is how she's managed to reinvent herself decade after decade. The 70s Cher was glamorous, but approachable. The 80s brought us rock goddess Cher with hits like If I Could Turn Back Time. The 90s saw her conquer dance music, and she even won an Oscar for Moonstruck. Today, at 79, Cher looks practically the same as she did in 1975. Whether it's good genes, great doctors, or some kind of ancient magic, she's managed to stop time. She's still touring, still recording, and still making headlines with her outspoken political views and Twitter presence that's become legendary. Cher has sold over 100 million records worldwide, won an Academy Award, an Emmy, 3 Golden Globes, and a Grammy. She's one of only a handful of artists to have a #1 single in 6 consecutive decades. But perhaps most impressively, she's remained relevant to new generations of fans who discover her music through social media. Stevie Nicks, the mystical songstress. When Stevie Nicks joined Fleetwood Mac in 1975, she brought more than just her distinctive voice. She brought a mystical, bohemian energy that would define not just the band, but an entire aesthetic that's still influencing artists today. The 1970s were Stevie's breakthrough decade. Fleetwood Mac's album Rumours, released in 1977, became one of the best-selling albums of all time, and Stevie's songs like Dreams and Don't Stop became classics. But it was her stage presence, the flowing dresses, the scarves, the ethereal dancing, that made her an icon. What many fans don't realize is how prolific Stevie was as a songwriter. While dealing with the band's internal drama, she was dating bandmate Lindsey Buckingham during the recording of Rumours. She was writing songs that would define a generation. Landslide, written when she was just 27, has become one of the most covered songs in popular music. Stevie's solo career, which began in 1981, was equally successful. Her debut album Belladonna went multi-platinum, proving she could succeed outside of Fleetwood Mac. Songs like Edge of 17 showcased a harder rock edge that surprised many fans. Now, 77, Stevie is still touring and recording. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, once as a member of Fleetwood Mac and again as a solo artist, making her the first woman to achieve this honor. Her influence on younger artists is undeniable, with everyone from Taylor Swift to Harry Styles citing her as an inspiration. Dolly Parton, the businesswoman behind the blonde. While many know Dolly Parton as the sweet country singer with the big hair and bigger heart, the 1970s revealed her to be one of the shrewdest businesswomen in entertainment. Yes, Jolene became her signature song, but Dolly was building an empire. In 1977, Dolly made a controversial decision to leave her longtime partner Porter Wagner's show to pursue a solo career and cross over into pop music. The move paid off spectacularly with hits like Here You Come Again and 9 to 5, the latter becoming an anthem for working women everywhere. But here's what makes Dolly's story so fascinating. She retained the publishing rights to her songs. When Whitney Houston covered I Will Always Love You in 1992, Dolly earned more from that cover than Whitney did from her entire Bodyguard soundtrack. Smart doesn't even begin to describe it. Today, at 79, Dolly is worth an estimated $650 million. She owns the theme park Dollywood, has her own production company, and recently sold her catalog for a reported $100 million. But she's also used her wealth for good, funding literacy programs and famously helping to fund COVID-19 vaccine research. Dolly proves that you can be both down-home authentic and incredibly sophisticated. She's managed to stay relevant across multiple generations while never compromising her core values or her sense of humor about herself. Jaclyn Smith, the angel who stayed grounded. Of all the original Charlie's Angels, Jaclyn Smith was often considered the most classically beautiful. But while her co-stars Farrah Fawcett and Kate Jackson left the show after short stints, Jaclyn stayed for all 5 seasons, from 1976 to 1981, making her the only angel to appear in every episode. What set Jaclyn apart wasn't just her stunning looks, it was her business acumen. In the 1980s, she launched one of the first celebrity fashion lines at Kmart, proving that quality didn't have to mean expensive. The line was incredibly successful and ran for over 2 decades. Jaclyn's approach to fame was refreshingly level-headed. While other stars were making headlines for their personal lives, she focused on her career and family. She married cardiothoracic surgeon Brad Allen in 1997, and their marriage has lasted over 25 years in an industry known for quick divorces. Now 79, Jaclyn looks remarkably similar to her Charlie's Angels days. She's stayed active in television, appearing in TV movies and guest roles on shows like CSY. But perhaps more importantly, she's maintained her dignity in an industry that often doesn't reward longevity in women. Morgan Fairchild, the soap opera queen. Before there were reality TV villains, there was Morgan Fairchild. Throughout the late 70s and into the 80s, she perfected the role of the beautiful, scheming woman on shows like Search for Tomorrow and later Flamingo Road. Born Patsy Ann McClenny in Texas, Morgan transformed herself into the epitome of 1980s glamour. Her perfectly coiffed blonde hair, dramatic makeup, and designer clothes made her a fashion icon. But behind the glamorous exterior was a sharp businesswoman who understood exactly what she was selling. Morgan was one of the first actresses to openly embrace being typecast as the other woman, or the villain. Instead of fighting it, she perfected it, making herself indispensable to soap opera and primetime drama producers. Her role on Flamingo Road made her a household name and one of the highest-paid actresses on television. What's remarkable is how Morgan has managed to stay relevant in an industry that often discards older actresses. At 75, she's still working regularly, appearing on shows like Days of Our Lives and making guest appearances on various series. She's also been surprisingly active on social media, where her wit and political commentary have earned her a new generation of fans. Not all of our 70s icons are still with us, and their stories remind us how fragile life can be, even for those who seemed larger than life. Kirstie Alley burst onto the scene in the late 70s but found her greatest fame in the 80s on Cheers. Her wit and comedic timing made Rebecca Howe one of television's most memorable characters. Kirstie was never afraid to speak her mind, whether about her struggles with weight, her unconventional religious beliefs, or her political views. She passed away in December 2022 from colon cancer at age 71, leaving behind a legacy of laughter and authenticity. Mary Tyler Moore revolutionized television in the 1970s with her show that proved a single, career-focused woman could be the star of her own story. Mary Lou Richards wasn't waiting for Prince Charming. She was making it on her own in Minneapolis. The show won 29 Emmy Awards and changed how women were portrayed on television forever. Mary passed away in 2017 at age 80, but her influence on both television and women's roles in society continues today. Some of our 70s icons have not just survived the decades. They've thrived in ways that seemed impossible back then. Jane Seymour parlayed her Bond girl status from Live and Let Die into a career that spanned 5 decades. Now 74, she's still acting, still stunning, and has built a successful business empire that includes jewelry design and art. Her secret? Constantly reinventing herself while staying true to her core values. Candice Bergen transitioned from 70s fashion model to one of television's most beloved characters as Murphy Brown. At 79, she's still sharp as ever, having recently reprised her most famous role and continuing to work steadily in Hollywood. Sally Field proved that a career could have multiple acts. From her early 70s sitcom work to her dramatic turns in the 80s and beyond, Sally has earned 2 Academy Awards and continues to be a powerful voice for women's rights at age 78. Goldie Hawn might not be acting as much anymore, but at 79, she's focused on her passion project, the Hawn Foundation, which works to improve children's mental health through mindfulness and social-emotional learning programs. Looking back at these incredible women, what strikes you is not just their beauty, though they were certainly beautiful, but their intelligence, their business savvy, and their ability to evolve with the times. These weren't just pretty faces who got lucky. They were professionals who understood their industry, made smart career moves, and most importantly, never stopped growing as people. Some reinvented themselves multiple times. Some used their platforms for social good, and others proved that dignity and grace never go out of style. The 1970s gave us a unique generation of female stars who came of age during the women's liberation movement. They weren't content to just be decorative. They demanded substantial roles, started their own businesses, and used their fame to advocate for causes they believed in. Today, when we see their names trending on social media or spot them in new projects, we're reminded that true star power isn't just about looks or talent. It's about longevity, authenticity, and the ability to connect with audiences across generations. These women didn't just want to be dated in the 70s, they wanted to be remembered forever, and they succeeded.